Should Deion Sanders step in? The growing debate over Shedeur Sanders' future in Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns walked off the field after a 17-16 Week 1 loss to the Cincinnati Bengals with plenty of questions, but none bigger than what's quietly brewing around their most polarizing rookie quarterback. While Joe Flacco took 45 pass attempts, Dillon Gabriel warmed the bench as QB2, and Shedeur Sanders, the former face of Deion Sanders' Colorado Buffaloes, didn't even dress for the game. The conversation around Berea isn't just about the loss. It's about whether Shedeur has any realistic path forward in Cleveland at all. And now, the calls are growing louder. Should Deion Sanders, never one to bite his tongue, use his influence to help his son escape what some see as a dead-end situation? Week 1. A narrow loss, a bigger question. Joe Flacco, the 40-year-old veteran and 2013 Super Bowl MVP, turned in a solid but flawed performance against Cincinnati, throwing for 290 yards with 1 touchdown and 2 costly interceptions. The Browns' defense kept them in the game, but the offense once again looked like a unit searching for an identity. With Flacco clearly a short-term bridge, the natural question is, what's the long-term plan? That's where things get complicated. The Browns spent mid-round picks on both Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders in the 2025 NFL Draft, and neither is expected to start anytime soon. With Cleveland holding 2 first-round selections in 2026, insiders widely expect them to be aggressive in pursuing a franchise quarterback next spring, if neither rookie proves he can be the answer. Which raises an uncomfortable possibility. By this time next year, Shedeur could be no closer to starting, maybe even pushed completely off the roster. Tony Rizzo raises the alarm. Cleveland sports radio veteran Tony Rizzo voiced what many Browns fans have been whispering. Is the kid processing? Is he improving? Is he being developed by the Cleveland Browns? Rizzo asked on ESPN Cleveland. And then he went further, floating an idea that would have seemed unthinkable just a few months ago. A trade request. If it were me, if I was Deion or I had some sort of influence, I'd tell them, trade me. Let me go somewhere where I have a chance to play. It's a bold statement, but one that strikes a chord. If the Browns really are preparing to draft yet another quarterback next spring, Shedeur might never get a shot to even compete for QB1. Dillon Gabriel is going to be their backup, Rizzo added, and then they are going to find their franchise quarterback no matter what next year, right? Because we all believe that. The case for Deion Sanders' intervention. Deion Sanders has always been more than just a football coach. He's a cultural force, a media magnet, and one of the most influential figures in modern sports. When he speaks, people listen from Boulder to Berea to Bristol. If Coach Prime were to publicly call for his son to be traded, it would instantly become one of the biggest storylines in the NFL. Cleveland reporters would pepper Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry with questions. Talk shows would debate it endlessly. And that pressure could work. The Browns are already trying to navigate a delicate quarterback situation with Flacco, Gabriel, and Sanders. The last thing they want is a media circus around their third-string quarterback. If the noise got loud enough, Cleveland might decide that trading Shedeur and ending the distraction is in everyone's best interest. For Shedeur, such a move could be a career saver. Landing on a quarterback-needy team could accelerate his development and give him a genuine shot at seeing the field before 2026. The case against Deion stepping in. But there's another side to this argument, one that sees Deion's intervention as risky, even counterproductive. For one, it could damage Shedeur's reputation inside NFL circles. Teams might view him as a player who runs to his father for help instead of fighting for his place on the depth chart. Fair or not, that perception could follow him and make it harder to earn trust in future locker rooms. Could also put the Buffaloes in an awkward position. Deion is still coaching young players who dream of making it to the NFL, including playing for teams like the Browns. If he publicly blasts Cleveland for not developing Shedeur, it could be seen as undermining an organization that might one day draft one of his current stars. And there's this, what message does it send to Shedeur himself? Part of becoming a successful NFL quarterback is learning to overcome adversity. Does calling in a favor from dad short-circuit that process? The Browns' QB logjam. The Browns are in a tricky spot themselves. Joe Flacco is a bridge, not a future. Dillon Gabriel was a high-volume passer in college who plays with energy but is still unproven against NFL defenses. Shedeur Sanders has the bloodlines, the poise, and the charisma, but remains a project. With 2 first-round picks in 2026, the Browns have to make a decision. Do they invest in developing what they have, or do they go all in on drafting their next franchise QB? If they choose the latter, they could end up with 3 quarterbacks under 27 on the roster next fall, and not enough snaps to go around. Someone would have to go. The argument for playing Shedeur and Gabriel this season. Rizzo and other analysts argue that Cleveland is wasting time by keeping both rookies on the bench. They don't gain anything this season by having Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel sit, Rizzo said. 40-year-old Joe Flacco is not the long-term solution. From a purely football perspective, it makes sense. Cleveland needs to know what it has in both players before next April. If neither flashes starter potential, they can spend their draft capital on a QB without regret. But if one of them, particularly Sanders, shows promise, it could save them a first-round pick and allow them to build around a cost-controlled quarterback for years to come. What Shedeur stands to gain. Playing this season, even in spot starts, could accelerate Shedeur's growth in ways that practice reps never could. Live game reps expose weaknesses, reveal strengths, and speed up the learning curve. Right now, reports out of Berea suggest Sanders is splitting scout team reps with Bailey Zapp and even throwing to equipment staffers during practice. It's not exactly a developmental paradise. The risk is that Shedeur could be left in limbo for an entire year. Not playing, not growing, and potentially losing momentum from his promising preseason flashes. What Deion might do. Deion Sanders has said repeatedly that he doesn't interfere with NFL teams when it comes to his sons. But he's also fiercely protective of their careers and has never been shy about using his platform to make a point. If Shedeur continues to languish as a scout team quarterback with no clear path forward, don't be surprised if Deion starts speaking out. If not publicly, then behind the scenes. He has connections across the league, from former teammates to front office executives. A quiet phone call from Coach Prime could be all it takes to gauge trade interest. Long-term stakes. The next few months could shape the rest of Shedeur's NFL career. If he stays buried on the Browns' depth chart, he risks being typecast as a career backup. If he finds a way to play, whether through injury, trade, or sheer perseverance, he could remind the league why he was once projected as a first-round pick. For Cleveland, the stakes are just as high. Mishandling the development of 2 rookie quarterbacks could set the franchise back years, forcing them to start over yet again at the most important position in sports. The bottom line. So should Deion Sanders step in? There's no easy answer. On one hand, his influence could open a door that might otherwise stay closed. On the other, it could create friction that makes life harder for his son in the long run. For now, the best thing Shedeur can do is stay ready, keep grinding, and wait for the moment when opportunity meets preparation. Because in the NFL, that moment always comes, whether you're QB1, QB3, or just the guy throwing to equipment managers at practice.